How are you feeling right now? You're flying to Sydney for an NBL Grand Final Series. Sunk in what you're about to do?
Well, I hope we land in Sydney. That's the first thing. Um, no, obviously it's very exciting, and our guys are ready to go, and they're fired up about this. And you don't know how many opportunities you ever get in your lifetime to do something like this, and we want to take full advantage of it, and we'll be ready to go.
I asked Jacob yesterday, how soon do you put what you've achieved on Monday night behind you and focus on this game? Do you let the boys enjoy that for 24 hours or so?
Well, I didn't, so yeah, I think for them, I think yesterday was the day we really started to dig into them again and do video work, and we'll do that this evening again. And our probably our only practice we'll really have that has contact and full go for quite a while again. So we tried to do as much as we could yesterday, and then we'll have a lot of video work today and tomorrow morning, and more walkthrough stuff, and we'll be ready to go.
Powerful team you're coming up against, isn't it? Obviously, we've had success against them this year, though, so you've got to take that confidence in, I suppose.
Yeah, we played them kind of sporadically through the year, and they didn't have guys, and we didn't have guys, and we played obviously poorly when they played that last game here, but they were fantastic. They're enormously talented. They have scoring all over the place, and they're well coached, and we're going to have our hands full with it without question. Our style of play is a little bit different than theirs, but yeah, they just got talent. They're oozing with talent.
How have the last 3 or 4 days been, given the amount of attention on the team, the extra commitments in a grand final week, and balancing that with getting down to business and knuckling down and preparing for a game?
Yeah, I think we've handled it really well in general. I think us being on the road has actually been a little bit helpful too, of just kind of being out and away and with our group in the hotels and having our dinners together and kind of out of the loop of everything. So I think we've handled it very well. It's something we've talked about briefly about just making sure you're managing your time and getting your rest. So these guys have been very professional in their approach, and I don't think there's anything other than clear focus of what we're going to be doing.
The last game against Melbourne, are you playing as good a basketball as you've played all year at the moment coming into this series?
Well, I don't know how good it is. I guess that's for people to decide. It's winning basketball, and it's what we've been trying to do all year long is make sure that our defense is at the forefront of everything we're doing and giving us chances in the fourth quarter to win. And that's kind of been our formula going forward, and that's what I thought early on, that if you had a defense that would allow you to, especially on the road, hang around long enough, maybe you can make enough plays to win a game, a tight game. And, we obviously haven't blown anyone really out of the water, but we've been consistent in our approach. Our defense has been relatively solid, and some nights we make some shots and sometimes we don't, but they've figured out how to win.
Is there still upside in this group, whether it be on the defensive end, the offensive end?
Yeah, I think their guys are still, there's a lot of room for guys to improve. There's just a lot of different areas that we can improve in. In this short amount of time, again, just more getting your rest and trying to just do your job. The improvement usually comes in your off season when you have some growth time, but as a group, they're learning and they're finding different ways, and they're communicating, and they're figuring out to solve problems as quickly as they can, which is one thing that we've talked about. To solve a problem, move on quickly, do your job, and then get to the next thing.
You recently said, why not us? Is that the philosophy or the mindset of you guys going into this series?
Well, it wasn't recently. It was probably 9 or 10 months ago. Yeah, I mean, again, we never put a ceiling on anything that we've been doing. So, again, if we had expectations of coming in 10th and just being happy to be a part of the league and win 5 or 6 games, everyone would have said, yeah, good year, expansion team, nice to be in Tassie, good luck next year. And one, I wasn't in that mindset, and two, I didn't want to put any kind of pressure or anything on our guys other than to work and to establish a culture that was going to be sustainable and build character with the guys we had and find their roles. And I've said it multiple times, the season will unfold as it will, as long as we're not shortcutting anything and doing our jobs.
You mentioned they're not putting any pressure on the guys. Do you feel there is more pressure now, or do you guys still feel the underdog? You've come this far, it doesn't matter what happens now.
Well, I don't think we felt pressure, to be honest with you, at all. We've been playing for the last 3 months to continue to fight to actually get an opportunity to get to the 28th game to get into the playoffs. So we've been doing the same thing over and over again. I tell them, and I think they believe it, the pressure really for me is the accountability to each other. When you sit in the locker room and you look to the left and the right, are you being accountable to those guys? And that's where your pressure comes from. It should come internally. It shouldn't be about making shots or those kind of things. It should be, am I holding my end of the bargain of what we said we were going to do from day one? And that's where your pressure should come from.
Sam McDaniel spoke yesterday about wanting to play for his fellow players and wanting to play for his
Yeah.
coach. How important is a mentality like that going into a grand final season?
I mean, it's not just the grand finals; it's the makeup of this team. And what I envision would hopefully happen is that you have guys that find value in other people, and it's not about you. And during the process of trying to recruit these guys to come here, when they started talking about minutes or starting or those kind of things, I said thank you, but no thank you, and moved on to the next person on my list. And the strength of the group is the group. That they're unselfish and they're willing to just do their jobs at any particular time and don't care about minutes or shots and how things are going. And they navigate that, and that's the beauty of basketball, really, at the end of the day.
You've been in basketball a long time, been a part of a lot of great things. Where does this run sit for you in terms of, I guess, the story of it all and how far you guys have come?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a huge thing for Tasmania and just the sport in general. And hopefully we impacted basketball around the state and brought it back to life to where it should be. And it continues to grow with young youth playing and all that. And for me personally, it's at the top of the list of things I've done in my career. And I said last night on one of the interviews that they already made a movie about this. It was called Hoosiers, and we're living that dream right now.
Is the key? I know it can't tell us the game plan, but is the key to winning stopping this three-ball dominance? I guess from Sydney. Is there more to it than that?
Well, I think there's more to it than that. I won't get into a lot of it other than. We just have to be very solid defensively. And the big thing is we have to be ourselves. We're not going to change or invent something in the next 4 or 5 days. And if we win or lose, it's just, can we tweak some problems here and there and solve some things and be ourselves? We got this far by doing what we've been doing, and I'm not changing.
And just one on Josh. Obviously, we'll speak to you in a minute, but the way he that second half the other night was just unbelievable. What did it mean to you watching him from the sidelines?
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously fantastic, and he was kind of an emotional wreck the first half and up and down, and he lives on the edge a lot with that, and the first 2 games I was hoping that he was going to have some kind of breakout at some point because he had been relatively quiet, and to win the second game with Matt Kenyon and Jared Bairstow scoring more than Josh Adams, who would have thunk it? And then you go to that game and you play game 3 and he just comes out on fire in the second half and does what he's supposed to do here, which is create opportunities for us to score and make big baskets for us. And he got himself right, and it was fantastic.
Did you say something to him at halftime when you said, obviously, it was a bit emotional going into that break? Did you say anything personally to him?
Well, to be honest with you, and he'll probably tell you the same thing, I stay away from him in those situations, and in general. I think, again, it goes back to the accountability of the players. And really good teams take care of that stuff internally. I was lucky enough to play with 2 Hall of Famers in Utah Jazz with John Stockton and Karl Malone. They took care of the locker room, not the coach. And for me to stick my head in there and tell them I don't like it or I think you should do this, is just going to irritate them. So for me, let the values of what we've been doing handle that, rally around him, pull him along, and see what happens. And that's what our guys did.